And we're off.
Cool. This is your boy Styles here with WestCoastStyles.com. We got my man Shad Reed in the house. And today we are joined by a legend. And I'm man, you know, this is a true legend right here. Legend, Sir Jinx, producer, DJ, and a lot of other things, you know.
Extraordinaire.
Thank you for joining us, bro. I know you don't really do a lot of interviews, so you know this is really an honor and a pleasure for us. Man, thank you for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Oh man, thank you for having me again. You know how far we go back, brother. You know.
Hell yeah. It used to be West Coast Friday. Now it's WestCoastStyles.com, you know. So
Yeah, you remember I gave you all them computers. You remember that?
Yeah. You dropped off at Alex's house.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and then we did the interview at your house for Rap Talk.
Right.
Yeah. Right at your house, we did that one. So that was a special moment, you know. And but there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you that I never got to talk about. You know, the movie NWA, the NWA movie came out,
right?
And I was happy that they first of all that you were in it, because I know a lot of people that could have been in it were not in it, but your story is pivotal because Dre lives with you,
right?
You know,
yeah.
So first of all, were you happy with your portrayal in the movie?
Ah, man, I was satisfied about it all, man. Like you said, you know, I could have been on the cutting edge floor. You know what I'm saying? I could have, you know, Q could have met Dre at a gas station. You know, they could have cut me out, but they needed me in the movie to make the story well-rounded. You know, I think, and it made it so real that some of the guys that I've known and grew up with would turn around and see me being portrayed in the movie. So, you know, I was just happy that you know, it was just another good step in the right direction for West Coast. I'm glad they kept me a part of it.
They found someone that kind of looked like you too, man. You know, I mean, I was like, hey, did they use Jinx for real, or is that some dude they found? You know, he kind of looked like you there.
Well, I guess they did good casting. I guess. I mean, you know, shout out to my homegirl Kenya. That was the wardrobe. They was definitely calling me saying, you know, do you like this? Do you like this? Do you like this? I was like, man, y'all do it the way y'all want to do it. Because when Kenya told me how many wardrobe changes the Jinx character had, you know, everybody else pretty much wore the same thing. But in every scene, I had a sweatsuit on, or, you know, the character or whatever. You know, they made sure the gazelles were there. You know, everybody that know me know I like to dress a little bit. You know, I'm definitely into fashion like that. Well, back in the day, I was.
I love the DJing scene where, you know, where Dre's character was cutting up It's Time, you know, that legendary hip hop song, you know, breakdance song. Man, were those DJing sessions real like that up in the house?
Yeah. I mean, you know, when Dre used to do those Rhodium swap meet tapes, they were done at that house. So it wasn't per se Dre come in and just tear my turntables up like that, but he'll come in and definitely rock the turntables and stuff. So yeah, the hip hop was a hip hop house at one point. Because they did a lot of those Rhodium swap meet tapes there with Steve Yano. Shout out to Steve Yano, rest in peace. That's where they were doing those mixes at. So yeah, it was going down like that in my house.
Now, did you guys both being DJs, were there things that I know he taught you things, but were there things that you taught him, like techniques or anything like that?
I wouldn't know. You would have to ask him, but I definitely learned a lot from him because, you know, he's a little bit older than me. He had Lonzo and them. They had enough money. You know, they was old enough to have money, and and equipment and stuff. So I did have my own equipment, but yeah, Dre. I mean, it wasn't really like showing me anything. It was just like I'd
Yeah.
see him do something and be more inspiring. Than he'd say, "This is how you scratch," or "This is how you do this." We didn't have that kind of relationship, but I definitely saw him. Because Dre is real dope on the wheels, real clean.
Mm.
You would think it's a Pro Tools session the way how clean Dre is on the mix. So yeah, I could be influenced by that, by how clean he was. But being a DJ, you kind of had to have your own kind of way back in the
Yeah.
day. You couldn't come up from under nobody and say, "Oh, I scratch like him," or "I DJ like him." Like you had to have your own little niche.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of made my own little niche when it came to DJing.
So, what was your favorite song to cut back in the day? Like, what was the go-to record for you?
Probably Electric Kingdom. I like Electric Kingdom.
Okay.
I like Electric Kingdom a lot. I like R9. What was that? Clear. I like that. I like It's Automatic. I used to like that song.
Yeah. Electric
It's
Kingdom was dope.
Automatic. Huh?
Yeah. I like Electric Kingdom, man. That song was dope with the opening bells, the boom, boom, boom. I know
Right.
DJs
Right.
you kind of like extend that, and cut that up,
Boom, 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 bang. Bang. Yeah. Yeah. Those was good to do like routines. Like back in the day, all the guys that DJ, you'll have to know the routines, the triple threats, the bringing it back. You know what I'm saying? Make a melody out of it. You had to do the fundamentals to be able to rock those kind of songs back in the day. And
Yeah.
bassline, I used to like bassline a lot. 2001 Boogie, Pac Jam. I mean, they all start coming like those in that era of the go-to record. But if somebody was sitting across from me or something, and they wanted to go at it, I definitely grab Electric Kingdom.
Nice. Did you ever battle DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But battle DJ back in the day wasn't really like that. It was just like, everybody was different. Like back when me and Fat Jimmy and DJ Slip and all those guys, it wasn't a competition like that. It was like either you good or you're learning. You know what I'm saying? You would never try to call out, a Joe Cooley or call nobody out like a Bobcat or something like that. Nah, they was like way out of your league. So when in my neighborhood, you would just like be happy if they let you touch the turntables, and you get a little routine and you can do it. But it wasn't like we was battling for turntables or for money or nothing like that.
Yeah. Nice. Shad, this is Shad Reed here. He's the assistant editor over at westcoaststyles.com. Man, brother, would you like to ask the legend some questions?
Oh yeah, I'd be honored. Thanks, Styles, and thank you, Jinx, for taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with us this evening. Going back to
it looked like my camera is dark. Should I move to another place? Like my face is dark, but I don't know. And it's bright as hell outside. Okay.
I know what you're talking about, just like with the glare, but you look fine on my screen. Okay. That's what it's recording. So I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Talk about kind of your early introduction to music. I know your uncle played a big role in influencing and shaping your interest in that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, back in the day, of course, a lot of my uncle and other people I was working with, they was a little older than me. So I was just like, kind of like the guy that would hand you the records or put the record back. So if an older DJ like you, he'll let you touch his records. But if he didn't like you, you couldn't touch his records. You couldn't put them in order. You couldn't take them out of order. So that was like the first things that I was introduced with was, pretty much keeping records in order and knowing what record to play, what record to hand, what record, somebody got to go to the restroom, knowing how to, start the record and take it off without sliding it across. Those are like the fundamentals. I was like, 8 years old, 7 years old. I was like 78, probably around when I start knowing like the beginning of a song. You know what I'm saying? Like where the hooks start, where the beginning of the how to make 4 bars going from the beginning to the tail end at the hook to make the vocal come in, like, you know what I'm saying, like right after the hook. Like you those like routines back with belt-driven turntable and a cassette player, and that's what we had at first. Before 2 turntables, we had a cassette player, a reel-to-reel, and a belt-driven. That's all I had. So we had to start off with that. That was the first equipment like I was using back in the day with, you know, me and my uncle, my cousins, my friends. All my friends was into hip hop back then.
Do you remember your introduction to hip hop?
I think it was gradual because certain things started happening. You know, you had blondies, you know, you had, you know, rap was kind of being the breakdown part of a lot of songs. I don't even remember the first. My first introduction will probably be like Dolomite or something like that. Like, you know, back in the day, that was the kind of music that they were doing that ultimately became rap music, you know. So I think it was gradual with me. And then the Super Rhyme was like one of my favorite joints, like that I always bang Super Rhyme. Super Rhyme. Jimmy Sanchez, I think that's his name. He just passed away, rest in peace. But that was like that and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And man, just those was my first introduction to hearing music, and the soul started force, and you know, Johnson group. You know, big ass bug. You want to be on Zoom, dude? You gonna come over here? It's big as hell. You know, no big ass bug. Yeah, I ain't scared of them. Everybody be scared to death of them, but I'm not. But back in the day, those are like, you know, the Sparky D's, the Captain Rocks. You know what I'm saying? That was like my first introduction of knowing that something else was happening with music, something that I could be a part of.
Quick question. Did you, just a quick technical question, when you were adjusting the camera before with the light, did you do something with the audio? It seems like there's a smidge of a delay.
The phone. Is that better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Cool.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it seemed like we had a little bit of.
Oh yeah, man, got my little grill going. Got the grill going, you know.
Oh, nice.
Nice chicken in here. Nice, yeah. Some hot wings.
I'm coming over.
So yeah, you know.
Real great California.
I love charbroil food, you know. And take y'all around the backyard a little bit. This is my new backyard. We just moved over
nice.
here, so
Oh, wonderful.
this is where we are. So that's why I said I could have been in better light. So go ahead. What's your question?
Oh, sure. So when did you make the transition from DJ to producer, and how did that all happen?
Well, when we first started, and when we first started, I was the one keeping the music going. You know what I'm saying? So knowing where the sweet spot is in the records to make it work. It's so funny, man. I just digitized a whole bunch of our music from back in the day, and then you would have like big beat, you know, I got the big beat, that boom, boom, ah, boom, boom, and you'll get that go boom, boom, ah, boom, 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 ah, and then that was the beginning of saying, oh, we want to rap to our own beats. So that started me to make beats with the turntables, and then knowing how to edit Roxanne Shante so to keep on playing without the scratch or something in it, and learn how to keep going with that. And that was the first part of me rearranging the music that ultimately made me turn into a producer to make my own music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, nice.
How did you first connect with Cube?
He was just a dude on my street, and he was a little bit older than me, and I was in the hip hop, and he was kind of like in the sports and whatever he was into. And then I just had the equipment, and we used to, we had that house that the music be playing loud, and and he just started coming over. All the guys in my neighborhood started coming over. The people that was in the hip hop, they would come over. Maybe a couple of gangbangers would come through just when they just want to hear some good words. But it was a very peaceful situation when people came over back in the day. So that's how me and him got really connected, because we really didn't have nothing in common. Because you guys know, Cube is into sports, and he was always an athlete, like basketball player, football player. He really liked the Lakers and stuff like that. So I was into cars and motorcycles and lowriders and other kind of stuff. I was into different kind of stuff, race cars, and we was into different things. But we came together when it came to the music.
Mm-hmm.
It was like two different aspects. You know what I'm saying? He was good at that, and I was good at, street stuff. Like, not street, like drug dealing, but like riding bikes and red lines and all the stuff that I was into. Ascot, racing bikes. I was more into that kind of stuff.
Whose idea was it to form CIA?
We already had a group. You remember? We had a group already called the Stereo Crew. And Dre didn't like that name. He hated that name. So, Stereo Crew was me, Katie, and Cube, and a dude named Barry. The dude, Barry, was a little older than us. He was like Cube's sister's boyfriend. So he had the car. So when we would always do talent shows, he would be like the older guy, like in the talent show with us. And so then he ended up, when Clientele left the Wrecking Crew, then there was a spot open for the Wrecking Crew. So he left us and went to the Wrecking Crew. So then when he left, then Dre changed our name to CIA. So that's when CIA was formed.
Wow.
Because we got rid of one member.
Now, in the movie, they show, the Boys in the Hood scene where, Cube writes a song. The group that originally was going to record it left. They originally asked him if he wanted to record it, and he said, Jinx and them will trip. Would you guys really trip if he did that song?
Nah, I think that's just a movie, but we wasn't like that. Like, the gangster thing wasn't out then. Like, so we kind of was proud to be MCs and DJing, and kind of like a Run DMC, or kind of like a Naughty by Nature, or something like that. And that was just music. We knew that there was tapes circulating in the neighborhood, with Mixmaster Spade and Toddy T, and those was like gangbang stuff. So it wasn't like I didn't want to do it. It was just that he didn't want to do it without us. And he know that's how I kind of looked at it, with the way they wrote it. Because him doing that, because Cube actually came to us and asked us, is it cool for him to be in NWA? And rather than, and then he'll come back and help us and deal with us. And me and KD agreed 1,000%. Like, man, go do that. Go do that. So when the dudes had wrote the rhyme, when Cube had wrote the rhyme, we were just doing hood tapes. So Cube started doing like more provocative kind of lyrics, and they wasn't our kind of lyrics. So when Cube was writing for Dre in the beginning, then he started writing more and more stuff. So he started writing stuff that didn't have nothing to do with CIA. CIA was still formatting ourselves, and we was kind of, Cube said all the time, we was really influenced by the Beastie Boys, and that was coming out of that. He was coming out of that and finding his identity. So Eric wanted to be like Lonzo. So Eric was like, well, I'm gonna start my own little record group. I'm gonna start my own little CIA per se. That's why it's HBO, if you get it. HBO CIA. But anyway, the HBO was like gonna be like, I guess, competing with us. but the dudes didn't want to do those lyrics. And back then, writing for another rapper was kind of unheard of. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was one dude from New York, that nigga probably lost. He probably still in the hospital, having a heart attack, asking a West Coast nigga to write his rap. He probably still in the hospital. He probably still trying to wake him up. Like, you out your mind? I don't know what a 6'4" is. They didn't know none of that. It was funny. So at the end, Soda and Cube ended up doing it, and history was made. Almost a mistake turned into something real.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if Eric didn't have it in the car all the time playing it, he always had it. He enjoyed it. So he had it for a while. So, you know, he had it way before like the 6 in the morning. Because, you know, there's a few songs that sound like that. It's 6 in the morning, that sound like, and of course, you know, it's a PSK track. You know, the hook is from PSK. So for by the time Eric got it, it was like right on time. Like, and you know, Eric wasn't no rapper or nothing, but he figured it out. And because you got to remember, on Boys in the Hood, Eazy-E name ain't in it. He wasn't even Eazy-E at that point.
Mhm.
Eazy-E came later with 8 Ball rolling and stuff like that. So at first it was kind of like a joke, you know, like, oh, man, I bet you can't do it. I bet you can't do it. And, you know, then Eric did it for real. He called everybody bluff.
Wow. Wow.
And became dope at it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He didn't care. He just cared that the music was dope. He had the money. And that's a very hard thing to do. You guys know, just to pull a person off the street and they can play basketball. You know, they go to the league. Like, they weren't even thinking about rap music.
Mhm.
Eric
Exactly.
to just turn into that is crazy.
What was your perspective on the financial disputes that ultimately caused NWA to disband? Like, where were you in all of that?
I wasn't in it because I wasn't getting paid. So
Uh,
I really had no argument. That was just the beginning of getting away from Lonzo, getting away from Jerry Heller. And because Jerry Heller was with us already. So he was with the Wrecking Crew,
mhm.
you know. So when Eric came along, it was kind of like supposedly to save us from, you know, getting robbed from whatever, you know, Lonzo was doing. So
Oh.
that's kind of like how that happened.
Yeah. I remember what you once told me that Eric used to pay you $400 a week to put the warning tape signs up on the stage when you'd go on tour.
Right. Yeah, but that was a good thing. Eric, you can go on tour, but he was like, you better find yourself a job. So I was a roadie. So I kind of like put up the when you look on all the old tapes, and if you see a police tape across the stage, you know I was there because that was my job. It was a good job, man. I swear we had so much fun. I
Nice.
left high school. I was in the 7th grade when I was doing that. I mean, not in the 7th grade. I was 17.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
So I would
damn,
leave.
7th grade.
Nah. I was 17. I was thinking 11th grade, 12th grade.
Now you went to Washington, correct?
Right.
A lot of legendary names came out of that school. MCs and so forth. Did you guys all know each other back then, or and so forth, or what?
Oh yeah, man. It was definitely like Washington was kind of like a performing arts school for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, just everybody was just had their own cliques. Either you was with the basketball guys, you know, or either you was with the football guys. You was with the guys that was in style, like, you know, the guys that dress real nice, the girls that dress real nice. And then every little crew, somebody might be into football, somebody might be on the basketball team, somebody might be a rapper. So at the end of the day, like, all the cliques had kind of like all-purpose people. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he gonna dance against him. Oh, he go, oh, you want to play basketball? Oh, go get the homie, So everybody had their own little thing that they was good at. So when you go back and see all the people that was there at that time, is definitely something to talk about. A lot of people keep talking about how the Wash is could be a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I
Even,
think that if memory serves correct, you guys had Candyman there, correct?
right,
And then Johnny J was there, I believe, as well, the producer.
right,
Yeah, Yo Yo.
yeah,
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 and I can't
all at
remember
the same
anyone.
time.
Dub C, I think.
Aladdin, what's his name? One of the couple of guys from South Central Cartel went there. Paperboy went there. Michelangelo, he that
Wow.
did Portrait, he was there.
Yeah,
Silky Fine was there. Gary Gray was there. It keeps going, man. And it's just not just the music, but we had some good dancers that came out of there, you know, that ended up being real popular, being dancers. It was a couple girls that went to Washington that was on a different world. That was, in the background, what I'm saying, on the different world or whatever. So we had a real kind of a performance arts. And then at the end of the day, when we left Washington, they ultimately made a movie about Mr. McKenna, George McKenna. That was our principal. So he even got a movie made up after him.
wow, that's
For
incredible.
that
Man.
same time, huh?
That's incredible, man. Just that all that talent that was there. I remember one time I interviewed Candyman, and he was telling me about it a little bit. And I know Cube went to task, but he told me that he battled him one time, but he refused to tell me who won that battle. He wouldn't tell me.
It was just one of those things that I came to Washington and I saw Candyman, and Candyman was running the school. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna bring my homeboys up here. I think it was summer school. And then we all walked to the thing, just like on B Street. You know how they be walking around the club? We had that whole thing, like us against
Wow.
Candyman. But ultimately, Candyman, we turned out to be my friend. Johnny J ended up turning out to be my friend. If it wasn't for me, you know how I go. Candyman wouldn't have met Fela Al. And Fela Al was the dude that put Candyman on by paying for the studio time for knocking boots. So that had to happen. That's why Candyman was on the cover of the NWA shit, because me and Candyman was in a group together called the Busy Boys. We had our own little dance group.
That's
how
right. He is on the
Candyman
cover.
came around. Huh?
That's right. He is on the cover. That's right. I remember. He's
Right.
one with his leg kind of stretched out, and I think he got
Right.
a 40 in his hand. I'm not sure, but
yeah, we were just taking a picture, and then that was like the throwaway pictures, and that picture was supposed to be the cover to Boys in the Hood. Like for that 12-inch Boys in the Hood, that picture was supposed to be for that. But when they fell out with Macola, all that went downhill, and then they went to Priority, and then everything else started.
Yeah. Where'd you get that big old
picture with huh?
Where'd you get that big old clock chain from?
We could just get it from anywhere. That was just the fashion at the time. We were doing the same thing as Flavor Flav. Yeah.
And you did the graffiti in that, that's in that photo too, right?
Right. If you go on my Instagram, you'll see the bare naked picture. Like I got a picture of the wall with nobody standing in front of it.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Because I was taking pictures too. So I got all the pictures of whenever we did photo shoots and stuff like that. Like I still got the pictures from it. So I'll throw them up on Instagram sometime. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody head blowing off talking about NFT, nigga, NFT. NFT's nuts, nigga. Fuck it. These are my pictures. I don't care about that. I just care that I was around, and they still mine, man. And those pictures are priceless to me.
Hell yeah, they are.
Without a doubt. Another hip hop superstar who you worked with very early on in their career is Snoop. You recorded his demo tape when he was just a teenager. What was that like?
Well, we was all trying to get on with me and Warren, because
Mhm.
Warren is my age. So whenever we'll go to the studio, me and Warren kind of link up. So I come in with the Ice Cube situation. So Warren like, oh, I got a homeboy too. So when Snoop was coming, well, they used to catch the bus because back where that house is off Imperial and Western. So they was living by going to Poly and going to Long Beach, Jordan, and they used to catch the bus all the way there because I was the only one with a track machine. So that was the first time that Snoop, was able to record his music and record a song. But I think a little bit right after that, Snoop ended up going to jail or something. And
Mhm.
then we never saw him again. And when I saw him again, first time I saw him, he was like 5'4", something like that, like 5'4", like 5'3", something. Man, we saw him
Crowded.
again. His waist was the same size, but he was 20. He was like 6 feet tall. Like, God dang! And he still act the same way, kind of shy, kind of the way Snoop act. And he turned into Snoop Dogg. So the song we did was called "I'm a Poet," and he always think that I have. I know you got it on tape still, but I don't have it on tape. But
Oh,
it'd be
for real?
crazy if I could find it. Nah, this is like, nah, that's way back. That's we talking 87. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Did
Man,
you
that
do
would be
anything
crazy if
with
you still had that.
213?
Huh?
Did you do anything with 213 back in the day?
Oh, nah, they was still kind of forming themselves, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
They was, Snoop was still in high school, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Mhm. Let me ask you
I was
this.
still in high school.
Let me ask you this. What did you think of his style when you first heard him? I mean, was he dope back then, or do you still need a lot of work?
Oh, nah, Snoop was like I said, Snoop was the kind of person that came across as being bashful or shy. He didn't talk a lot. But then when he start going, you be like, oh, he can rap, and he can rap off the head. So back then, rapping off the head was something that was hard to do. But when Snoop was rapping back in the day, you couldn't tell if it was a written or he wrote it and just
Wow.
saying it like that. Like you really couldn't tell. But maybe he was writing them and then kind of, to get in the front end to the next rhyme and kind of freestyling until you go into your other rhyme. But nah, he had that same with it. If you can hear the raw of Snoop Dogg, you know that everybody, hey, he'll start rapping. And that's it. He was always like that. He very captivating rapper. Like, so when he started rapping, people start liking the way he rapped because what he talking about. You know what I'm saying? So he had like a slow kind of slick Rick kind of flow, but it was saying West Coast shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it was almost like, hearing Dana Dane or one of them, but from Snoop Dogg. So that was the treat. Like, if you can sound a little bit like somebody, you good.
Mhm.
So he wasn't out there like that, like getting a record deal and nothing. He was just a dude that wanted to rap. So yeah, he was dope when he first started. He was
Wow.
dope always. He didn't need no develop.
Wow. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, listening to some of his older stuff, I mean, even just on the Chronic and, of course, Doggy Style, I mean, you can tell there just seemed to be some natural talent there.
Right.
Um,
I mean, some people, when you work in the studio, everybody don't need your help. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? Like you can come in as a producer and fold your arms and do that vocal over. You was late on the hook. And then some rappers you don't have to say a word to. They go in and do it one time. Go in the studio with Jail Felony and see how many takes he do.
Mm-hmm.
Jail Felony will do one take and probably not like the way he ended the rap and do it again and he done.
I've seen that.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I've seen that myself.
Yeah. Some dudes are really good at what they do, and they're
Yeah.
confident about what they do. So yeah, Snoop was definitely knew what he wanted to do, and didn't really have to jump out there crazy like with the lyrical miracle. You know, he had Corrupt right there for that. So if niggas wanted to go at it on some real lyrical kind of lyrics, I think that's when uh Corrupt, he'll pull Corrupt up, and you know, nobody could see Corrupt on that kind of flow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was a real good team right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of a good team, man, the Lynch Mob was a hell of a team. Man, you guys came right out the gate once, you know, the NWA situation unfolded with between Cube and them. You guys came right out of the gate punching, stomping, you know what I'm saying, and making an impact on the scene. And you took the role. Basically, you was like Dre to what Dre was to NWA, what you were to the Lynch Mob. You know,
I could see that.
that's how I saw you.
Yeah, no, without a doubt.
Right. It was some good times.
Mhm.
But you got to remember, man, I was working on a lot of music. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think one time a person told me I released more music than everybody in 1 year.
Wow,
You remember what year that was?
feels like 90, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, somewhere between
I think
Cube,
we lost him.
Yo, yeah, and all the other stuff that they were putting out at the time.
I
Yeah,
think we
that
lost
was
him
a
for a
really
minute.
Back then.
There we go. There we go.
What happened?
Now we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody fell off?
Well, we had some audio issues and visual issues for a minute there, but it looks like we're back now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that year was 1990, man. You were just like throwing shit out there and just boom, 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 boom.
Right. And look, that don't even include the people that didn't make it, you know what I'm saying? So I did work with a bunch of other people that just, it didn't happen for them. But I was just, you know, I was addicted to.
I think we lost him again.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it froze. See if he
Yeah, we'll see if he comes back. Yeah, but we're here in the house with the legendary Sir Jinx. I think we got him back.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got some technical difficulties there.
I'm having some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
This word. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
hey,
but I mean,
if you having technical difficulties, it's y'all. It ain't over here. Trust me.
all right.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
That's all good. Hey, so you know, you got to work with the legendary Bomb Squad on America's Most Wanted. You did that out in New York, and I believe you did that in a production room that included like Run DMC and a whole bunch of other acts at the time. Is that correct?
Yeah. It was real dope, man, because we was at another place, a location, and we were putting it together kind of like pre-production, like, you know, looking at what songs we gonna do. So when we go to Green Street, you know, that's when I really get cool with I was already cool with Jam Master Jay, and I was cool with DMC. So when we was working on the album, they was working on their music in the back. So Jam Master Jay was kind of like my Dr. Dre. Like he was kind of like a person that I could look at and catch a vibe from him. Like Public Enemy, they was dope, but they were like superstars. You know what I'm saying to me? So you can't just be stopping Hank asking him, "Hey, what was that?" You know, Hank will just pass you. Who the fuck is this? Hey, who brought him? Like, you know what I'm saying? But at least Jam Master Jay, he'll let me sit in on his sessions and I'll catch a vibe with him, you know, how loud the music is or whatever he's doing and doing overdubs or whatever like that. So when we was working on America's Most Wanted, I was blessed to be able to go back there and kick it with Brother Jay. I mean, not Brother Jay. Jam Master Jay, and he was kind of like, giving me influence on, how to do this, how to do that. Plus, Eric Sadler was there, Keith Shockley was there, Hank Shockley was there. But my personal kicking it time, I was kicking it with Jam Master Jay and Maceo from what you call it? From De La Soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to come pick me up in his truck, and then we'd go hit this, just to get out of the, to break the monotony of what we was at. And, I would hang with him. And then, I knew, of course, you guys know the story with Busta Rhymes. So Busta Rhymes and Charlie Brown and my homeboy Shamello, rest in peace, my homeboy Epitome, we were all a crew, like, you know what I'm saying? So when I was in New York, I wasn't hanging with Cube and Chuck D. I was hanging with Visit a New and my homeboy from Son of Berserk. Like, he was always there.
That crazy guy, yeah.
So I'll tell y'all that people know this, but most people think on Who's the Mac that one of these motherfuckers is different. They think that's Pooh, but that's actually Son of Berserk saying that.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Right.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Yeah, I remember Son of Berserk. He did that song where What's Changed the Style, I think is what it's called, where he just goes through different styles and of music, and it's a pretty crazy song.
That's what we was doing when we was out there. Q was like, the businessman, and Chuck D was like the businessman. So it was just dope to have that many talented people in 510 and Long Island, and we were just, who would have known that Charlie Brown would have been, hey, look, Charlie Brown, Snoop Dogg. Who would have known? We got a Charlie Brown and a Snoop Dogg. But who would have known that would have turned out like that? Hey, I never put those two together either until just now.
Wow, that's crazy. So it's funny because this morning, we're talking about America's Most Wanted. This morning I woke up and the first song on my head, just out of nowhere, was Once Upon a Time in the Projects, Yo.
Right.
Man, that's one of my favorite songs that you produced. That's a total Sir Jinx production. Can you tell me about the making of that song, please?
Yeah, you remember I told you when I first went to New York. Wait, hold on. When I first went to New York, we was working on the album. I was working on music that they had already worked on with Cube. So I was just kind of helping out, like, add scratches in here to there, because all their music was real fast. Public Enemy at that time was
yeah.
So with me trying to, hey, what about this beat, you guys? It was almost, I thought they was gonna be like, that's some bullshit. Like, it's too slow. It's too slow. But when they heard the beat, they was like, oh, that beat, because they had left me in the studio. So that's when I ended up working on Who's the Mac. That's how I got the credit for Who's the Mac, because I turned Who's the Mac into that song. So with me having a little bit more energy and they trusted me a little bit more in the studio, I started working in the studio by myself. So I started going through my but my zip drive, but the little thing that went to the SB 1200, and I was going through that. And you remember I told you that beat was originally for a group that I was gonna sign back in the day called Rhythm. So when the NWA stuff started going crazy, I was gonna take Rhythm, Dale, and Yo-Yo to Ruthless, and Ruthless was gonna try to get me a record deal and sign them up under me, but that didn't happen. Cube left. I took that beat from Rhythm and gave it to Cube, but Rhythm turned out to be Souls of Mischief. So that was they beat at first.
Dang.
So the Once Upon a Time in the Project beat, I had them rapping on it, trying to get a deal with Ruthless back in the day. But when I went to New York, when they need some beats, bruh, you snatch them beats up under people like a rug, like. So they understood. I talked to them. They were supposed to be my little opening group, And then they was like, nah, man, we'll get another beat. We'll get another beat. Cause when I did when I did Once Upon a Time in the Projects beat, that's a lady named Betty Davis. And Betty Davis is Miles Davis' wife, you know. And I think the song is called Shooby Doo or something. But then when Dale had came out, I did a song on the other side of the Betty Davis, and I think that's Dark Skin Girl on Mr. Dabalina album. That Dark Skin Girls. And I just found the instrumental to that at the studio a couple of days ago. So both of those songs was made at the exact same time. But Once Upon a Time in the Projects is what it is. And, you know, shout out to Redman for doing Jersey O.
Mm-hmm.
He remade my song. That was a good day. I like that version too.
Another song I got to ask about during this prolific time period of you creating music is Endangered Species, Tales from the Dark Side, that and the remix, which I think are like, what could you please talk about the creation of that?
When we was making that music, we were also touring and we was doing spot dates. So when you do a Lollapalooza tour, or you do like an anger management, like with Limp Bizkit and when you start going into that world, that rap music don't work. Trust. You get up there and you be in the day. Something. The crowd will be looking at you like this. If you don't got no they don't care what you rapping about. But if they not having a good time, that stage show feels real long. Like you're there forever. So we start implementing songs that could go in a more white crowd, so we can be able to do music and not have to speed our music up to fit their tempo. So that's why we start doing stuff like The Product and you know, Endangered Species and The Bomb. Like these are all when we start going out the country and dealing with other nationalities. Like Once Upon a Time in the Project probably won't be a good song if you're on the same tour with Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know what I'm saying? Like you might have to switch your show up a little bit and you know, say fuck them khakis and come outside with some cargo shorts and some chucks and act like them. So like the Endangered Species and those kind of songs was helping us in the show when we do multicultural shows, you know, and we'd be able to do it. And we didn't see a gang of MCs fail because they don't know how to do a mix that's for that kind of crowd. And it's very hard to rock them Lollapaloozas. It'd be 20, 30,000 people. Like you can't even see the end of the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So when we started doing Endangered Species, and Endangered Species meant something. And while we was saying it, we was giving it to them right in their face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, endangered. It's like, yeah, another nigga dead. Yeah, hell yeah. It was fucking with it. We didn't have to showboat and do no gangster shit. We could do their shit and let them hear what we were doing. That's why Q just kept going. That's why we started listening to albums. We started getting what's his name? Red Hot Chili Peppers with The Wicked, and we started making more rock songs, like the rock song I call Black Korea. You know what I'm saying? Like we started making more stuff because we started doing bigger shows. And we'd be the only
even that kind of that rock aesthetic, even on the first cut of America's Most Wanted, when they just have them say "fuck you, Ice Cube," like that's a very rock vibe to it as well.
Right. We all. I mean, the nigga you love to hate. I mean, it was just Cube was like two sides. He was like a little bit of Public Enemy and a little bit of Eazy-E. So you mix them two up, and now you got like kind of a. I work with the guys to Rage Against the Machine. You kind of get the music they like and the lyrics we like, so it was like a best of both worlds. And, rap music is a baby of rock and roll music. You know what I'm saying? So there wouldn't be no rap music without rock and roll and punk rock.
Yeah, even rappers say they rock the mic.
Huh?
I said even rappers say they rock the mic. So
Right. So rap is like a baby of that. So, when Run DMC did Rock Box and, they, what I'm saying? It was, what was that? What was that when Styles, was it Walk This Way? With Aerosmith?
Yep.
Yeah, Walk This Way.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it was something to show homage to Public Enemy as well as Run DMC, and we was open for it. You know what I'm saying? If you a rapper, it's not about really just making an album that you want. It's making an album that everybody like. So there was a lot of people that like Ice Cube, a lot of people that like NWA. So when you go to them shows and you don't do no music that they like, that stage show gonna be long as hell. Trust me.
Mhm.
They gonna be looking at you like, if you don't get the pit going and they throwing mud and stuff at each other, you need to go work on some new stuff in the bus and do it for the rest of the trip.
Let me ask you this: what
Yeah.
is Ice Cube like in the booth when you're producing him? Is it really easy to work with, or is it some work?
No, he's on autopilot. He writes his music to where he wants to say it. He might take out a word or two, but when he comes to the studio, he usually writes all by himself. He don't sit in front of you like some rappers that sit, roll a blunt, and start writing in front of you.
Yeah.
He won't write. He'll write away from people. So the process of him writing music, he does that on his own. He don't sit around people and let them watch. Well, at least when back in them days, I don't know.
Yeah.
He was very private when it comes to doing lyrics.
Okay.
He took it very serious. So back in them days, the studio wasn't a hangout then. Like now it's a hangout. But when we was in the studio, we treated it like it was an operating room. So, it's quiet. You know what I'm saying? These ain't bullshitting and in and out the studio like 5-year-olds. Nah, people, and then back in the day, for us to be in Westlake, us to be in Cherokee, us to be in these big studios, they wasn't allowing a whole bunch of niggas to be in the studio.
Sure.
They said, no, you have a 4, 5 people maximum. Anything else, you got to pay for another additional runner. Like I said, every 5 people need another runner. So if you got 10 people in there, you got to pay for the other runner. And in the studio.
Mhm.
So that was then. They don't do that no more. But
Yeah.
he was a private guy. He'll probably ask you a couple of words like, "Do you like that? Do you like that?" He open to talk about something that didn't land. Like we can say a word, a phrase that the rap amounted, but it didn't land. Then he'll go back and he'll probably switch that up. So he's open. He's not a person that be like, "This is what I wrote. This is what I said." Like he's not like that.
That's good. That's dope.
Did you anticipate the controversy that was caused by the Death Certificate album?
Oh, what you mean about the riots and all that, the Black Korea stuff?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Did I say that again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you kind of anticipate the controversy that album would bring? I know you were saying earlier you kind of had a style, then Cube went and did kind of some of the more aggressive stuff. And but Death Certificate obviously has some very weighty themes.
Well, when we made those kind of songs, we wasn't talking to the people we're talking about. We were talking to the people that listen to us. So a person to get mad, I mean, even if I see, right now I made a diss record about you. You know what I'm saying? Why would you listen to it? You know what I'm saying? Then start complaining about it, so we didn't look at doing the music to get a backlash. We was doing that to stop problems that was always happening between the Asians and the Blacks back in them days. And a lot of stuff that we wasn't talking to them. We wasn't talking to white people. We wasn't talking to Asians. We wasn't talking to Mexicans. We was talking what was happening to the urban and community. Mm-hmm. So we wasn't directly talking to anybody. We was just saying what was the conditions that were going on. And they were mad that we were complaining about the condition. So it was just kind of funny, like, oh, you can go shoot a little girl in the back of the head and nothing happened, right? That's cool. Right. So that's what we were talking about. We was trying to rally, say roar up the troops, look what they doing to us. And we couldn't be on TV. We couldn't have a steady nighttime show or anything. So we just started selling our messages through the music. And then before they knew what Ebonics, they started calling it Ebonics, they found out we were actually communicating with each other. And that's when it all went bad, because they started finding out we were sending messages. And the messages hurt.
Now, the Death Certificate album is probably an album that couldn't get made in this day and age. I
Nah.
just recently, and I was like, man, he's talking about slap the Jap up. I was like, oh,
Right.
Man, today that would be like, oh, we're canceling Ice Cube.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. I've heard Cube had to go back in and express that those was the times of shock value in the rhyme. It wasn't intentionally when you say something like I'm gonna slap this and kick her in the belly.
Yeah.
Like that was a threat that guys would say, but nobody wasn't kicking nobody. You know what I'm saying? It was like, ooh, he's crazy. So, a lot of the stuff that cats were saying back in the day, you definitely can't say a lot of that shit now. They wouldn't tell. I did a song with a Tragedy, and it's called At Large, and I got it. And he talking about killing the president, and I'm like, oh. I got the president's blood all over my hands. Like, oh wow. I don't know if you can really let that one ride today. I don't know. And he said I'm gonna kidnap his wife and kill her too. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Man,
those
you're about to have some service knocking on your door.
Yeah.
Right. Even when I'm talking about it like that, like who's you saying? What president? But those are the days. We had our own lane, so we was only talking to each other. We was not talking to the people that got offended. They should not have been listening to it.
Yeah. Another legendary MC you worked with, Live and Let Die, G-Rap. What can you talk about? What was that experience like?
G-Rap is my guy, man. He's a dope rapper. I like working with him because he's not one of those rappers that come to the studio and push his shit on you. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll be open. Like when we was working on the songs, some of the songs we made, we just made up by just laughing, just being in the studio laughing at each other and coming up with like Operation CB and Crime Pays and the Great Train Robbery and stuff like that. Like those are songs that just came up because we were talking about it. So he'll do an album. When you do an album with G-Rap, you can most likely make brand new music in the studio, like all day. Like you can work on one verse, change that up, work on something, work on the hook. You can kind of work on like 4 or 5 songs working with G-Rap. He's a fast worker.
Yeah. Well, one thing I really like about you is that you could come here, you're obviously you're West Coast, based. You could work with a Corrupt, you could work with a Jail Felony, and then you could work with the First Generation, and then you could go to the East and work with a Brother J, or work with Cool G Rap. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, so there's a
Public
mixture
Enemy.
there.
I do got a plaque from Public Enemy on the Misses, the great. I did Who Stole the Soul. Yeah, I did that too.
Yeah, so you're able like to mix the two, you know what I'm saying, and not just stick to one thing, and that's one thing that I admire about you,
Oh, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that's dope is the difference of a beat maker and a producer. A beat maker has kind of like when people put taglines on the beat, how everybody that put taglines on their beat before they beat play, those are beat makers. Producers don't do that. You want the song to be dope because it's dope, not because your name is on it. So when I work with other producers, when I work with other rappers, I try to find something in them rather than me try to make a blueprint and say, oh, this is going, when you hear this beat, that's a Sir Jinx track. That's a Sir Jinx track. So this is how I'm able to work with a Too Short all the way up to a Cool G Rap, or you know what I'm saying? Or Rage Against the Machine with Isaac Hayes, or Tina Marie working with, and then me working with Tony Braxton, and then working with Joel Levert, and then come back and, and it's just, I try to make the music fit the artist rather than I try to make a sound that everybody's gonna relate. Like, oh, that's here come the cowbell again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to custom make a beat for the actual rapper. So when I did the Coogee rap thing, everybody was like, oh, that's really, it sound like an America's Most Wanted Part 2. So that's what people used to call it, America's Most Wanted Part 2. But it's just the way that my cinematic way of working. I like the music to have like a theme to it. So you close your eyes or you go somewhere, you can actually feel like you were there. This is what made like the inserts, and I started making the inserts and doing all that because I wanted the album to be like a motion album. You know, how do I go? A motion album soundtrack, like without the picture. So you play Coogee rap, you know, street niggas pictures presents. You know, now everybody want to be a director and have street niggas and kill murder.com, you know. But when we did it, it was a joke. You know, it was like, what if the niggas had a camera? Street niggas pictures presents, dun, 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 you know, and then you, hey, be careful crossing the street. And that's from Untouchable. Boom, blow it up. Let's go. We're gonna do a brand new world. Run, run, run. So when to work with him, they like my music. They like how creative I come into the studio. So to work with other rappers like Cam and Roscoe and King T, you know, they all come to me for the same thing. They like, Jinx, do your thing. Whatever you doing, just do it. And if they don't like it, hey, we can switch it out and flip it and go into something else. But usually when people come in the studio with me, I try to custom make something that people would think that's our sound rather than me just, you know, more cowbell.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I like about your sound too, is as opposed to having a signature sound, you have an ability to bring the best out of the artists you work with. And I think that's what makes a fantastic producer. So.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I'm glad that people noticed.
Yeah. And the stuff you did with the Exhibit as well, you know. So.
Oh, yeah. Exhibit knows what he wants too.
Yeah.
He's a dope rapper. So, you know.
I know you're I know you're putting out some new stuff. And before I get into that, Shad, is there anything else that you wanted to ask him before we get into what he's working on now?
The only other question I had, could you kind of just clarify or bring everybody up to speed on what's going on with the situation with recouping your unpaid royalties? I know that was in the news not too long ago.
Yeah, we're gonna go to another topic.
Okay.
Legal stuff.
Yep, understandable.
Nice.
Let's see. Oh, and I do have one other question. And then Styles, we can definitely get into, you know, your point about what he's doing now. What's the story about you and Pac and G-Rap driving around during the LA riots?
Yeah, that's the funny stuff. Well, what happened was I was working with G-Rap at the time, and Tupac was in the studio next to me, working with Laylaw, working with like Above the Law, Laylaw, and he used to really be with Laylaw. So I'm in one studio, and Tupac is in the other studio. So the day that we supposed to have a day off, well, or G-Rap was supposed to have a day off, he would just come to the studio anyway. So when G-Rap has a day off, he can come to the studio or you don't have to come, because he can be just touching up his raps or, you know, writing to stuff at the hotel or whatever. And that was the day I was supposed to work with Tupac. So G-Rap didn't want to stay at the hotel anyway. So he came to the studio and was just there. So while we listening to music, going back and forth, listening to it, seeing what beat that Pac was going to rap to, then a bunch of my homeboys came to the studio and they had hats, like hats on hats on hats. They came in with big old, like 5 40-ounce bottles and liquor and all kind of stuff. And mind you, the guys that I'm talking about, they don't have no money for that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like for them to come in the studio with all that, we're like, where the fuck you get this from? He was like, man, LA on fire. So he was like, turn the TV on. So we had a TV in the studio. We turned the TV on. The news is on. People like, oh man, LA is on fire. We see people looting. So me, Pac, and G-Rap got in the car and left and went to LA. So we went to LA when we pulling up and people recognizing Tupac, recognizing Coogee Rap. But you know, that was just that. And that was just one of them weird hip hop stories that Coogee Rap, Sir Jinx, and Tupac was running around the streets of LA. Tupac was shooting out my sunroof. We had to pull over and find all the shells because he's shooting out things, shells flying all over my car.
He's shooting. Wow.
Huh?
He was shooting.
Yeah. He was just shooting out like we go drive down the street, he'd shoot out the sunroof. Boom, 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 boom. Because they were shooting all throughout LA. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if they were shooting at each other, but you can hear ta 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 ta. It was going up. I don't know if people were shooting in the air, but that's what Pac was doing. So I took him to my neighborhood. So in my neighborhood, where I used to grow up, they ended up giving him some more bullets and he restocked his gun. Then we just kept on going, kept driving around all day, you know, getting in a little shit, but not nothing too much. Just being on some Hollywood shit, like, you know, but yeah, that was a memorable day.
You didn't get no TVs or
Huh?
You guys didn't get no TVs and shoes and all that other.
Yeah, hell yeah. But that was day 2. Day 1 was, you know, the verdict came out.
Yeah.
And then everybody was acting crazy. But the second day and the third day, oh man, everybody got mad. We got all kind of TVs, everything. We had a central place that my homeboy used to live, and he lived further off of Crenshaw. So he lived in Crenshaw. You can take all your stuff there, dump it off, and then go back and get some more. So
yeah.
So and when you walk in my home, you know Dismo, right? So this Dismo house, and then we walk in Dismo house. It's a roped off thing over here. It's a TV, a comforter. You look over here, glass tables because everybody had their own little area. Like, don't mess with that. That's Blasey stuff. Don't mess with that. So you can walk over and look at people's stuff and see if you wanted to buy it from them. So that was a good one. It was like a swap meet in my homeboy Diz's house. It was funny.
That's hilarious. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I know that you are working on stuff now that you're gonna release. So let's talk about that, man. I want to give you a chance to promote what's going on now. You know.
Right. Wait, hold on. I'm dealing with chicken. Well, I got my albums. You know, I got my album, my West Wing album, my Hood War Order album. But right now we about to release 2 albums with Jail Felony. I've been working with Jail Felony and his company, developing his brand. So last year we dropped Hood Invasion and In the Trenches, and now we're dropping Hood Invasion 2 and In the Trenches 2 on September the 11th, and that's gonna be on a Saturday. So we got that album dropped, 2 albums dropping. I just released an instrumental album that's dedicated to the SP 1200.
Yeah,
called Imperial. It's called the Imperial instrumental, and I had dropped that last year. I got another album coming out that I'm working on. That's why I was in the studio yesterday and all last week. I don't really know the title of it right now, but I got like 4 albums that I'm just gonna drop, you know, but between now 2022, 2023, just setting up my 2022, because you know 21 is pretty much over. If you don't really have nothing planned for next year.
Yeah. But you know what? Speaking of Jail Felony, I mean, I interviewed him last year, and he told me during that interview that he was open to doing a song with Mitchie Slick. And then I interviewed Mitchie Slick about a week later, and he said, "Man, I'm with it. Let's do it." Man, I'd love to see something like that happen. You there?
I can't hear y'all, so go ahead. I can hear you now.
Okay. I was gonna say, you know, I interviewed Jail Felony last year, and during the interview, he told me that he was open to doing a song with Mitchie Slick. Now I
Uh-huh.
interviewed Mitchy Slick about a week later, and Mitchy Slick was happy to hear it. He said, "Man, I'm with it." I know you know both them guys, but I mean, if we could make that happen, that'd be a wonderful, wonderful thing, man.
Well, let me let you on a little secret. Damn, this stuff's sticking to the thing. I had connected Mitchy's. I know where you getting at with the San Diego and brothers need to get along. You feel me? And that's definitely something that's on the table because I had already hooked Jail Felony up with a dude named Boss Man Hog, and Boss Hog is a rapper that's out of San Diego. So that was a good look to bring Jail Felony and Boss Man Hog together to do the same thing that you're talking about, basically.
Yeah.
Niggas is getting older and need to bring something back to the street rather than just taking away, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
taking away niggas' freedom and all that need to be worked on. So I think they're doing it. The Mitchy Slick and J.O. Felony probably will be happening soon because that'll be real dope.
That's dope. Shad, is there anything else you wanted to ask him? Are you good or what?
No, I'm good. I know we're running a little bit longer because of some of those technical difficulties, but no, I always just like to say, unless you've got anything else, Styles, I just always like to give the artist the last word and just thank them again for their time. Unless you've got anything else.
No, I'm good, man.
Cool.
I know this brother's cooking his chicken too. So, I'd like for him to get back, get to his grilling.
Yeah.
Grilling and chilling.
Oh, yeah. That's a nice shot of it.
Interviewing and grilling at the same time. So, brother, thank you for being our guest. This has been this hour and a plus interview has been a wonderful experience, and it's an honor. Before we end, though, can we get a shout out for westcoaststyles.com, please?
All right. Let me get the daylight. Oh, I can't find the day. Oh, here we go. What's up, y'all? It's the Imperial Sir Jinx. I'm gonna give a shout out to West Coast Styles, and this is how we do it. Year after year after year. Lock it in.
Peace. All right, brother. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your chicken. Wish we could be there to enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have a housewarming, and then because you see, I got two. We had this one for one, and then we haven't figured out how this one works yet. So I just do it on this one until we figured out that the gas and all that worked good on that one. But yeah. Nice. But hey, man, thanks for having me on the show, man. I hope we can keep this hip hop going. People can learn something every day, and if I'm fitting anybody, I meant to do it.
No. All right, brother. Have yourself a wonderful evening, man.
Yep, and too, please, with all the stuff you've got coming out, you've always got a platform here with us too. So you've got an open invitation, brother.
Oh, thank you, man. Make sure you send me the links over to wherever it's going so I can post it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely will. All right, bro.
Thank you so much for your time,
nice meeting you.
All right. Nice to meet you too. Sure. Peace.